Good morning. Here I am with our May arrangement, how the year is flying by. And today I've chosen to do a rainbow arrangement, or at least a sort of rainbow arrangement. Mine is never exact, you know that. I'm using a long wicker basket. It could be any sort of trough-shaped arrangement, trough-shaped container. And in it, I've lined it with my my faithful mushroom container. It's a very good container, that good shape. And in it, I've just put a third of a block of Oasis. I've cut the third off. You can see I've cut the third off, and then I halved it again, and I fixed them both ends of the mushroom container, because I'm going to stretch between them a rainbow. And what I'm using for the rainbow, got a loose one there, but anyway, we'll sort that out, are just some pale sticks, which I thought went rather nicely with the basket. It's sort of similar colour. And I'm going to, I have soaked them slightly so that they are flexible, and I'm just going to put them in like that. I'm going to press them in quite hard. I've put an elastic band round both sides so that they stay together really, but they're opening a little bit at the top, which is fine, and this loose one is going to be slightly smaller, a smaller arch, but that's fine. I think that's quite nice. Now, it's tending to be a little bit heavier one side than the other, but I think that the whole idea will come right once we've got the plant material in. So what I'm going to start with is some of this lovely, I'm so thrilled with this, it's quince blossom. I hope you can see that. It's a beautiful shade. I wore this colour jumper because I thought it would show it up, and they're just appearing now in the garden. This is from a very, very old quince plant. It does give us quince, and I have made jelly with it, but this is very, very old. It's probably been growing in Dumfries now for about 50 years. So it's really very old, but it's lovely, and I love it, and it gives beautiful flower in the spring. So I've cut that down to come up above the rainbow. I've got a second piece with beautiful blossom on it, which I'll put in to reinforce that particular side. And they're just going in on the top of the Oasis there. They'll gradually pull that back, I think. I'm hoping anyway. And then I have some green pieces, some pieces of the foliage which don't have any blossom on, which I'm going to put on this side. And I'm going to make them more or less the same height. Oh, they can be a little bit higher, okay, that's a little bit higher. So that one's going into there. Straightening it up. And another little green piece which I've got here at a slightly shorter length, covering the end of the rainbow so that we're only going to end up with seeing this middle bit of arch. And a third piece I've got here, so we'll pop that in all together. I'm very aware that my Oasis is bending a bit with the weight of these things, so I have to put in some other weighty stuff, weighty material. And what I've got is another piece of this delightful quince, which I'll cut much shorter and just put in here. There we are. So I've got a little bit of that colour on each side, which is rather nice. The second little piece here, which I'll put in there. Now let me turn that round for you. I'm sure it's more or less the same both sides. There we are, straighten up, that's it. And we'll enjoy the rainbow. Now I've got some other foliage here, but I think what I'll do first, I think, is I'll put in some of my bigger leaves. And this time, what I've chosen, you've possibly seen them before because I've used them quite a lot, and it's the Aerometallicum pictum, which are beautiful at the moment. They are enlarging in size. These are not the largest, and they will get much bigger, but these are fine, and they stand very well in Oasis. They quite enjoy being in Oasis, so I thought that they would make a rather nice base foliage for this arrangement. And of course they've got the lovely pointy stems, pointy leaves rather, and shape, so that it is rather elegant, I think. And I'm putting it in a layer so that I've sort of got one on top of the other. It just reinforces the line. I don't know whether you can see that, but let's just turn that round. So you can see I've got one on top of the other. It gives a little bit of air, a little bit of enclosed space at the bottom, and it looks rather nice. Let's do that. And then I put some on the other side, but I think I'll put them going out the other way to give me some depth. I'm putting out at the back. Now that's really a big one, so I think we'll leave that one for the moment. You have to choose the sizes, you know, they come in different sizes, so you just choose which one will fit nicely. So there's my Aerometallicum pictum, and they're in position there now, so it's nice and green and looks rather elegant. Now next I've got some spray carnations. Now, I don't use spray carnations very often, I must be absolutely honest. I find them a little fussy, and I like to go through them and take off those tiny little green buds which really will not come into flower. Anything that's showing a bit of colour will come into a flower, and that makes it just a little bit less fussy. So I'll start with this one. Always cut, of course, with carnations between the nodes, between the noddly bits on the stem, so that they can take up the water. So again, I thought the colour of them rather echoed the colour of the twigs that I've used for the rainbow, so I thought it all was harmonious, which is what we're always aiming at, a nice harmonious collection of plant material to make an arrangement. So it makes, you know, quite a decent sort of size. Let's see where we're going to put that. I'm just bringing it down in a vertical manner, some behind the rainbow and some in front. And then I'd like quite a bigger piece really, or a closer together piece, right for the bottom, and that would be nice. I could have taken those little leaves off before, little buds, but I didn't. So there we are. So there's some right down at the bottom, and perhaps another one to just come out a bit right at the very bottom. And we'll extend it over the edge of the container. So there I've got those in like that. They complement the rainbow and the basket, and they also go rather nicely, I think, tone well with the quince blossom. So let's do similarly on the other side. Don't think it needs to be quite so floriferous this side, because I've got the blossom here, but we'll start with one going there in between the two branches of blossom that I have. I've got one flower here, so let's just use that. It's on a long stem. You know, the trick, I think, with spray carnations is to really look at them and see how best you can cut them. If you just sort of plonk them in as they come from the florist, I don't think they work as well. I think you need to look at them and just see exactly where would be the best place to cut them. Excuse me. And then you can probably make several cuts in one stem and so get several placements. And of course that's always an advantage, isn't it? We always wanted to make the most of what we have to buy. I looked in the garden and I have got some garden plant material today, but I did have to go and buy some flowers because they just didn't have the colours I wanted to go with the quince, which did come from the garden, and I particularly wanted to use that today. I'd hoped that I might be able to use the cherry blossom. We have big, they're wild cherries, they're just wild cherries, but they are magnificent in blossom. But I'm afraid this last little bit of wind and the rain, which of course we desperately needed, have knocked the blossom off, and they're really not fit to be used, which is a shame. But however, I'm enjoying using the quince. It always is quite fun to use plant material that you've got in the garden and you can use in a different way sometimes. And I thought that to use the cherry blossom would be rather nice. So there we are, we've got a gathering of those spray carnations along with my two. And you see how the rainbow is just creeping through, it's not dominating, which is what I didn't want. So now we come to some flowers that really will dominate, at least I hope they will. And they are some beautiful roses. They are Morrison Specials. They are, I think, probably grown in Africa because the leaves were extremely dusty, but they are beautiful. They're the orangey, flecked with yellow, flecked with red, and I thought that they would just be so perfect for this this arrangement with the lovely quince. So again, I'm going quite high because I want them to make an impact. They do, although they're in a bunch, they do come slightly different sizes, and I find slightly different thicknesses of stem. And so you can use, you know, the thicker stemmed and the larger flower lower down in the arrangement, and the thinner stemmed and smaller heads higher in the arrangement, and that's good balance. So here we're just coming down, and I've got a heavy one here, so I'm going to put that one to one side. I clear the stems mostly of their leaves. I like to leave just a little leaf on. It's just my preference. I don't know that it makes a lot of difference, but it's just my preference to do that, and I do like to see just a little bit of the rose leaf. Certainly not if it's damaged, but if it's in perfectly good order, I like to use that to just complement the foliage that I'm using in the arrangement. They're very, very straight stems, which lends itself to this type of arrangement because it is very much a pair of verticals, to be absolutely honest, and that's what we need at the moment. So we'll go down. I've got 1, 2, 3. I'm not really counting, but I'd like to be more or less even. And I'm putting them in at slightly different angles so that they you can see different parts of the rose. I've got a really heavy one here, so again I'll put that in very low down, and it will help balance the physically balance the arrangement. Now that's coming into the centre a bit, and I don't really want that. I'd rather have it straighter. There we are. So I've got one more rose, so I might use that in a minute, but we'll just see. So there are the roses in there with, you see, the rainbow, which was rather dominant and large at the beginning, is beginning to gradually be lost, but it's there. And I have a gap in the middle that I can fill with water, so that I can keep this arrangement going quite well with plenty of plant material, plenty of water, sorry. Now, the other foliage that I've got to use, which I'm quite pleased with, I picked from the garden, is called Leucotho Rainbow. I don't know if you can see that. It's a slow grower, a bit of a reluctant grower in my garden, I must admit, but because I haven't been picking it very much, it's actually coming away quite nicely now. And it's got this lovely bronzy foliage which really lends itself to this colouring. So I'm just popping a little piece into the bottom here at the back to take the eye right through. It has little white flowers on, and I see I've got some little dried flower heads, must have been left over from last year. So we'll just take those off because they're not particularly attractive. And tuck those down at the bottom here, where there are pieces of oasis showing, and really we don't want that. And one more. They really are very, very pretty. Pretty shaped leaf. There's the little flower inside there, but not a very elegant grower, I must admit, and quite a slow grower, so you have to be a bit patient with it, but I quite like it. So there we are, I've just filled that in a little bit at the bottom, and I've got a further little piece of quince blossom which I'm going to put in right at the back here. Oh, it's a tough piece. Right at the back, just to again balance the arrangement. Now I've only two more things that I want to put in, and they're both from the garden. I think that's rather nice. I'm quite pleased with that, I must say. Now my first thing I've got is two pieces of wallflower. See the beautiful colour wallflower. This is called, I think, Orange Sensation or something. I bought the plants last autumn, and they have gone rather leggy because I planted them in tubs with tulips, and tulips grew taller than I'd expected, and so these were drawn up with them. But I rather like them, and I'm going to add them into this side where I haven't got the blossom. I think this side, yes. So I'm going to put it into here. I've just got the two pieces, and they do smell so delightful. They remind me very much of my childhood. We lived in Hertford, and in Hertford, in the centre of Hertford, there is a castle, Hertford Castle, which is a park really, and there are play parks there for the children. And they always seem to have lots and lots of wallflowers growing, and I can smell them now from Hertford Castle. So there's the wallflowers just on that side, and then on this side I thought I would put something slightly more dramatic. And what I found in the garden, and I gritted my teeth and I picked two, and they are lovely, lovely tulips. They're very dark, as you can see. They're quite dark, reddy purple colour, and they've got lovely spiky ends. Can you see that? They really are pretty, and I thought, oh, I'm just going to put those in because I feel that we need just a little bit of drama in here. It's a little bit, maybe a little bit bland, and we will just zazz it up a little bit with the tulips. Now, you know that tulips continue to grow, and they like to grow towards the light, so I shall put them into position and then they will take their own position, but I don't mind that. and I cut them relatively short so they can't move very far. That's my sort of theory. And I'm going to put them in quite low down because with the weight of the colour, at least the colour is a heavier weight, or seems to be a heavier weight. And I'm just going to group them together because I've only got two. Absolutely gorgeous, can you see that? Absolutely gorgeous things. And I shall just put those in, coming slightly forward so that we can see them well. I mean, I'm showing off with them really, that's the whole idea. The roses are quite dramatic, but I think that those dark tulips just finish it off. Now, I think I'm just about finished. Oh, hello, you've moved, have you? Right, we'll pop you back in there like that. I'm turning it around to you so that you can see it. There are little bits of oasis showing at the back, but I'm not too bothered about that because I'm not going to look at the back, and it's not for a competition or anything like that. It's just to enjoy the flowers as they are. So I think I'm going to leave it like that. There is my rainbow. It's just appearing through the flowers. I've got a nice space there where I can fill with water and keep the flowers and foliage as fresh as I can. Because in our houses, which are so warm, they don't last that long, do they? But I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you have a go at doing a similar sort of arrangement, and especially perhaps on the 7th of May, because 7th of May is designated as Flower Arranging Day. So just bear that in mind when you're thinking about buying a few flowers or getting some from the garden. You're just taking part, in a way, in Flower Arranging Day on the 7th of May. It's rather nice. So that's my arrangement for today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you again in June. Thank you.